Welcome to One Take Live, where we delve into communities and we express ourselves through politics, through health and education. And today, our guest is the Honorable Congresswoman Valdez Demings. And we're so happy to have you.
Monica, I am so delighted to be here with you.
It has been so long since we've had a chance to really chop it up.
Yeah.
I would actually have to go back maybe 10, almost 15 years to a time when we sat in a radio station across town.
Yeah.
And we talked about a new law that was going to turn our streets into what you called the OK Corral, and that was Stand Your Ground. That's how long ago
Wow.
you and I have been in conversation.
Yeah.
Just about
Yeah.
these streets. 27 years as a police enforcer, and then several years as our chief of police here in Orlando. First time we've ever had a female, first African American female. We have to say female first and then African American. First lady of Orange County,
right. Yes.
married to Mayor
Yes.
Jerry Demings.
That's right.
You know, and then now representing us for several years in the Congress, ran for Senate.
Yeah.
And like I said to you before, first time for Congress, didn't get in.
That's right.
First time for Senate, didn't get in. I think that second time would be it. But that might be part of the ending of our story today.
Well, Monica, let me say this. What I know for a fact is blessings delayed are not blessings denied.
This is so true.
And the work still goes on, regardless of what seat or position you're in. We all have a responsibility to give back. Let's go back to that conversation 10 to 15 years ago.
Stand your ground.
As the police chief. And I remember when I was appointed chief, crime was at an all-time high. And so we were laser focused on getting that crime rate down, because our primary responsibility, whether you're in law enforcement or you're in elected office, is the safety of the people that you represent.
Sure.
Right? And so we reorganized the department. We worked very closely with the community, worked very closely with our business owners, worked very closely with people like you to help us get the message and the stories out. And we were able to reduce that crime rate. And then we had to deal with the law, Stand Your Ground. Monica, when you're in your home, as you well know, you have certain rights. You have the right to protect yourself in your home. Someone wants to break in your home, do what you need to do to protect yourself and your family. To extend those same, and everybody gets that, to extend those same rights to every street corner, every place open to the public. As we work so hard to reduce violence, to reduce particularly gun violence, was a bridge too far. And sometimes, unfortunately, politicians, look, it's okay to be a politician. I was one. It took me a while to even say I was a politician, right?
We have to talk about that.
It's okay to be ambitious, because why would you think you could win an election if you weren't a little? But when you jeopardize or risk the safety of the people that you represent for your own political career, that's shameful.
And so now we segue to a point where gun laws have changed. So totally, anyone now can stand their
Permitless
ground,
carry.
do not have to have any type of training.
What is wrong with going through a process to be able to carry a deadly weapon? I certainly remember in the police academy, we had to go on the gun range quite a bit and prove our proficiency before we were able to carry the weapon. And then at the Orlando Police Department, we trained roughly 4 times more than the state required to make sure that we were proficient. You want to drive a car, you have to go through a process. What is wrong before you allow people to carry a weapon that can take lives? Yes, it's for can be used for protection too. But what is wrong with going through a process to make sure that you are proficient and to make sure that you really have the right to carry? To just say, come on down, everybody, get your weapon, and let's just turn Florida into the Wild Wild West is irresponsible.
And that's what we talked about, and it had to be like 10, 15 years ago. And look at us now.
And the conversation has been hijacked too many times. My father was a hunter. My father had a lot of guns. We knew not to touch them, but I grew up with them. I carried one for 27 years. This is not about taking guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens. This is about keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous people, out of the hands of criminals, convicted felons, out of the hands of the mentally ill and terrorists. If you look at the surveys that have been done, the majority of people around the nation believe that we should have background checks. It's reasonable, right? And so primary responsibility is to protect the safety of the people, Floridians, the American people. Let's get it done.
When we talk about that crime rate actually, violent crime rate is down, but our crime rate has gone up. What do you think that can be attested to?
Well, you know what? We kind of have to reset post-COVID. Isn't it amazing that a pandemic, something we'd never heard of before, never seen before, basically changed everything?
Changed our lives.
It changed a lot. You think about the number, a lot of people, I thank God I survived. We lost 1 million people in this country to COVID-19. Some small businesses were unable to keep their doors open. People lost their jobs. So some people lost their homes. So with that, when you see those social ills not being addressed, then the crime rate is going to go up. We've seen more property crimes. We've seen more shoplifting, for example.
Yes.
And so that's why, as we work hard to reduce the crime rate, one of the things I also did as chief was to address some of the social ills that cause decay in communities in the first place. If we want to get to where we need to be, we've got to address both. And let me say this, no great society can exist without law enforcement. But we have to have law enforcement agencies that are willing to work with the community. We want our law enforcement officers, we want the brightest and the best, but we also want citizens who obey the law, and people, we want to address the social ills, social needs that are out there.
Let's slide back into the police departments as they are now. There is a lot of tension amongst police and the communities. How can we reduce that? How can we make everyone more accountable? And I'm talking about the communities as well.
I have a saying, borrowed it from one of my sorority sisters.
What is that?
It is, everybody counts, but everybody's accountable. We talk about wanting safer communities. We talk about wanting that more perfect union. We talk about wanting a better nation where we have a role. Everybody has a role to play. I had the honor last week to be the keynote speaker for a naturalization ceremony for 42 new citizens of the United States. And one of the things I said, Monica, was that our nation, I said, no, you are a gift to our nation.
Aw.
But our nation is a gift to you.
Absolutely.
And we have to take care of each other. And so no great society can exist without public safety. What police departments need to do, and right after the tragedy with George Floyd, I got on the phone and called several police executives and asked them to change the things they can change themselves within their policies. Look within you don't want Congress telling you what to do? Look within your own departments and make the changes that you can right now. What do? We hire the brightest and the best. We make sure that we hire people that have the mind for the job, but also the heart for the job. We have to make sure they have the best training. That's why it's so important. In Congress, there was a lot of talk about federal standards. Well, some departments push back against that. But police departments come in different sizes with different budgets. What we want is things like use of force, to have the same standard training regardless, whether you're a 35,000 person department like New York or you're a 10-person police department, right? The brightest and the best training. And then we have to make sure that we every day work on building trust with the community. Involve the community in the decisions that you can. You mess up, fess up. Have those town hall meetings. Talk to I had to do it a lot of times. I chose to do it. I didn't send a deputy chief or captains or the patrol sergeants. We had town halls and we talked about things. By the community and the police department working together, because the community is the police and the police is the community, we can do better and we can get to a better place.
I would love to see that happen, especially here.
Oh, yeah.
Because the climate between the streets and the law has really disintegrated.
And what I also know, Monica, is that every community, regardless of the economic base, wants to be safe and deserves to be safe, right? When people talk about, oh, the relationship is totally deteriorated, that's not true. Because, look, I used to patrol the streets, talk to people in the community. People just want to be treated with dignity and respect.
The operative is talk, though.
That's it. You have got to communicate. And so that's why I used to tell officers, when you're not involved on a call, get out of that car and walk and talk to the people in the districts that you patrol. Get to know them, get to know their children, build that relationship. So when bad things happen, and it's the police department, the community will give you the benefit of the doubt while the investigation is going on. Why? Because they know you and that there is a relationship there. Communication and relationship is everything.
And we just have to keep
We got to keep working on it.
We have to keep believing that.
Working on it. And the tone is set at the top.
And so I was going to say, so the cultural difference needs to start coming down, trickling down,
That's
trickling
right.
down,
The
trickling
tone
down.
is set at the top, right? Our most important resource at the Orlando Police Department, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, or any law enforcement agency are the men and women who work there. It's the sworn officers and it's the civilians that support them in that supportive role. Our greatest strength is the community. Our greatest strength. We cannot exist without that bond between the two. And that's why it has to be worked on every day. But there's responsibility on both sides.
There is. But the key, the one thing that you said and that I know for sure, one thing I know for sure, thank you, Oprah, is that talking, communication. And I remember having the chief here, and on so many occasions, I had a panel of police chiefs at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And the one thing that I was just trying to let them know from all aspects of what I know, communication is going to be key, and it's got to start down here, but it's got to be enforced
It's
from
got to
up
be
there.
enforced. The top sets the tone.
It does.
And you cannot be afraid. Look, George Floyd, there was no doubt that the murder of George Floyd was brutal and it was senseless. Every good police officer knows that. Every good police law enforcement executive knows that. Every citizen knows that, right? When we talk about communications, it cannot be on the surface level. We've got to have the courage to have those tough conversations. We've got to have the courage to talk about race relations. We've got to have the courage to talk about when officers engage in bad behavior. There's no protecting that officer. But we've also got to talk about one bad officer does not represent all officers. We
Understood.
cannot say
Understood.
Derek Chauvin represents everybody, right? Well, Chief, Sheriff, if you want to say that, prove it. And that's through communications. Right? Why would we throw the officers that we have good relationships with, who've been there, had the community's back, do much more than respond to calls and arrest people and put them in jail? They deliver meals for the seniors and buy teddy bears for children and do all kind of things that we found out about that were wonderful. Why would you throw them in the same barrel? But let's isolate the bad ones, call them out, and hold them accountable. And let's cheer the officers that are doing it right, the overwhelming majority, by the way. Let's cheer them on and encourage them. But communications, let's keep it open.
That's the thing. The last time I had Sheriff Mina here, I said, I have no background in law enforcement. I did take and pass the police exam. I tell you that all the time in New York. But radio was my calling. That's my thing.
Right.
But communication is what I do, and I would love to just sit between him and the state attorney's office.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just kind of slide into that. What are your thoughts? Because I know time is of the essence. What are your thoughts about the suspension of our state attorney for the 9th Judicial District, Monique Worrell?
Well, let me say this, Monica. Let's start off. You talked about my first race. I lost that race. I won 3 and lost 2, ran for Senate and lost that race. Not once did I think about, let me write the governor and have him overturn those elections. The people had spoken, and we bow to the will of the people, whether we like it or not. That is what a democracy is, and that's what makes this country so wonderful. Right? That's what sets America apart, is our democracy. The fact that you can be like my mom, the maid, but your vote carries the same weight as the President of the United States. Monique Worrell, State Attorney Monique Worrell, was elected by the people. Nobody gave her anything. She had some pretty stiff competition. She worked hard, and the people knew their choices, and they selected her. Basically, what the governor would say was, the hell with the will of the people. I have my own personal reasons for going after Democratic state attorneys who use, by the way, a tool that law enforcement uses every day and state attorneys all over the nation use every day, and that tool is discretion, where law enforcement decides what people they arrest and what people they don't arrest, what people they send to the state attorney for prosecution versus a physical arrest. It's discretion. It's one of the greatest tools that law enforcement has. They decide whether they give the person they pull over on the side of the road a ticket that day or give them a pass. That's discretion. So when they give the single mother with 4 children or the single father with 5 children, say, I'm not going to write you a $400 ticket today, but don't speed anymore. Did they not do their job?
Using their discretion?
I said we want officers to have the mind and the heart for the job right. Discretion is the greatest tool that they can have. State attorneys cannot prosecute every case. Who in the heck does the governor think he is to decide what cases the state attorney moves for? Now, some are obvious. They should move forward. But how are you going to take the discretion away and you go through the list and say, oh, well, he didn't prosecute that one or she didn't prosecute that one? Let's remove them from office and totally ignore the will of the people. It's shameful. It is wrong. And it should not have happened.
What is next for you? I mean, there's so many opportunities. I know that you're consulting now. I know that you are doing stuff. I can tell by the gleam and the smile on your face. I can tell. But I'm sure that the people want you to continue to serve. But to what capacity would you enjoy most?
Well, let me say right now, I'm doing some work with the Bipartisan Policy Center, which is a think tank to try to get us back on track, working on behalf of the people. I'm also traveling all over the country and talking about what makes this country great and why it's important to protect our democracy. But Monica, I receive phone calls, texts, emails, and messages through a friend every day from people throughout the state of Florida, the place I was born and raised, and throughout the nation, saying, we need you to get back in politics. We need you to run again. I remember saying to one person recently, I've been working since I was 14 years old. Can I get a little rest?
No.
They said, no, we don't have time for that. You can rest when you go to heaven.
Oh, no.
I'm like, but I hope that's no time soon. But anyway, what I hear, the resounding theme is that people need someone who they know will fight for them. And they need a strong voice. And I'm honored that they think that that person is me. It's very humbling, but such an honor. So we'll see. I pray first. I listen to the people. Jerry and I both do. And we'll see what happens.
She's not giving us an answer, but I will get one before it's time, just to let you know. Val, you have to understand that it is a wonderful thing to see a woman who can use her voice. It is a wonderful thing to see a woman who can think on her feet, and it's even more gracious when she is as knowledgeable and just can laugh still and be humble and just be in his presence and know that she is supposed to be where she is at that moment, and that is you.
Monica, the honor that Jerry and I have of serving the people is given to us by the people. We will never forget that. We are public servants. We're not perfect because we're human, but we will give serving the people every ounce of energy, strength, and intellect that we have. We are trying to make our community a better community, our state a better state, our nation live up to its promise. And nobody or no position can stop us from doing that.
You know, I'm going to get the two of you together next time.
I'd love it. Yes, I'm going to out-talk him, by the way.
Know,
I'm just throwing it out here now.
You're letting me
he'll
know
say
that.
There's no surprise there.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll say there's no surprise.
You know, but still, to still be so in love and so enraptured with your community that you give and give and give and give and don't spend as much time as you would like to, but you're getting the work of your passion done.
To whom much is given, much is required. But Jerry and I figured it out when he was the sheriff and I was the police chief, because we were doing everything but spending a whole lot of time together. And the light bulb went off, Monica, and I said, I got it. Everything that makes it to our calendar, we do. So we started putting date night on the calendar.
Oh, good.
And we wouldn't let anything, most things, interfere with that. And so we still have date night.
So how did that work when you were in D.C.?
We changed date night because date night is Thursday now. Don't let everybody, because then they'll start calling. Okay. But we just changed it to the weekend when I was home.
Okay.
Because for the most part, I would come home every weekend unless there was some buffoonery going on.
And there was a lot of that.
There was a lot of that, but it's at a new level now. And it's really shameful. You know, Monica, let's think about Florida. Property insurance has tripled in cost. It is higher than all of the other states combined in Florida. There's a affordable housing crisis. Mm-hmm. Health care is at the bottom of the list, particularly elder care. Our storms are becoming more intense and doing more destruction. People are hurting. And what does the governor decide to do? Well, let's ban books. And let's make sure that children, regardless of the color of their skin, don't know their history, because Black history is American history. Mm-hmm. There's no Black history is American history, but let's make sure our children don't know their history. And the children want to know their history, by the way.
Yes, they do.
And so we have some serious issues that need serious people to deal with them. Let's go to Congress, who should be setting the standard. And they aren't talking about those things. They're talking about impeaching the current president of the United States for questionable business dealings of his sons. Mm-hmm. The power of impeachment was reserved for the most serious of violations. I served as an impeachment manager, I know that. When the then president of the United States, President Trump, used his authority to try to coerce a foreign power into participating and undermining an American election. Mm-hmm. To be used in that regard now solely for political purposes is shameful. So the American people are being disserved by the Republican Party. The only party, and it is what it is, that is working on the issues that you and I care about every day is the Democratic Party. Check the record.
There you have it. One last question. Gen Z replacement. Okay, Maxwell Frost.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I've had meetings with Congressman Frost before his election and all during his tenure in the House. Monica, I could not be more proud.
Aw.
of him. We have coffee, we have breakfast. We text. I'm feeling younger just by texting him. We text. And look, he has to blaze his own path.
Yeah.
But I share what I can in terms of advice. He listens. He wants to do it right. And I believe this young man has a bright future. You know, there's a lot of talk about age. And when I'm doing speeches, I say, many people will say you're too young, many people will say you're too old. The only question that should be asked is, are you doing the job before you? Whether you're 26 or 80, are you doing the job before you? Maxwell Frost is serving the people well in Congressional District 10. I'm proud of him.
This is phenomenal. Thank you so much for being on One Take Live.
Thank you so much for the invite. I look forward to the next time.